have a seat and turn to page 2 in your staple color book.
Gata of atonement, all evil karma ever committed by me since on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thought. Now I atone for it all. Nikaya 3 Refuges. Udam Saranam Gacchami. Udam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Dhammam Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. Sangham Saranam Gacchami. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in Buddha. I take refuge in refuge in Dharma. I take refuge in Sangha. I take refuge in Sangha. The 5 remembrances. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I am of the nature to have ill health. There is no way to escape having ill health. I am of the nature to die. There is no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature of change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. My deeds are my closest companions. I am the beneficiary of my deeds. My deeds are the ground on which I stand. Mahayana Refuge. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. In my heart, I take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. May I liberate suffering beings and bring them to great joy. May the compassionate spirit of love grow within me, that I may actualize the great way. Invocation of the lineage. I give thanks for the guidance of my teachers, for the lineage of teachers before them. I give thanks and offerings for their devoted practice of generosity, moral discipline, patience, joyful effort, concentration, wisdom, skillful means, unshakable vow, spiritual powers, and awakened awareness for my benefit. May their years of life be lengthened, and may their vows be completely realized. 7 practices of the Bodhisattva. I bow down in body, speech, and mind. I offer the best I have to give, both real and imagined, to fill the space between us. I regret and purify all transgressions. I rejoice in all virtues. I request you to remain until total enlightenment. I request wise and compassionate guidance. I dedicate my merit for the sake of all beings. Generating love and compassion. May all sentient beings be free from clinging and hatred, being close to some and distant from others. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will free them from clinging and hatred. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings enjoy happiness and the causes of happiness. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them happiness and the causes of happiness. Bless me to accomplish this. May all sentient beings have the joy that has never known suffering. May they be free from clinging, hatred, jealousy, miserliness, doubt, pride, wrong view, ignorance, and dualistic thoughts. How wonderful it would be. May this be accomplished. I will bring them to this state. Bless me to accomplish this. Please turn to page 32 in your spiral-bound liturgy book for today's reading. Uji, being time. The way of the self arrays itself is the form of the entire world. See each thing in this entire world as a moment of time. Things do not hinder one another, just as moments do not hinder one another. The way-seeking mind arises in this moment. A way-seeking moment arises in this mind. It is the same with practice and with attaining the way. Thus, the self setting itself out in array sees itself. This is the understanding that self is time. Know that in this way there are myriads of forms and hundreds of grasses throughout the entire earth, and yet each grass and each form itself is the entire earth. The study of this is the beginning of practice. When you are in this place, there is just one grass, there is just one form. There is understanding of form and beyond understanding of form. There is understanding of grass and beyond understanding of grass. Since there is nothing but just this moment, the time being is all the time there is. Grass being, form being, are both time. Each moment is all being. Each moment is the entire world. Reflect now whether any being or any world is left out of the present moment. Please stand for the Heart Sutra. Great Prajna. Great Prajna Paramita Heart Sutra. Avalokite Shvara bodhisattva, practicing deep prajna paramita, clearly saw that all five skandhas are empty, transforming all suffering and distress. Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form, form is exactly emptiness, emptiness exactly form, sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness are also like this. Shariputra, all things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, without loss, without gain. Therefore in emptiness there is no form, no sensation, perception, mental reaction, consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no color, sound, smell, taste, touch, object of thought, no seeing, and so on, to no thinking, no ignorance, and also no ending of ignorance, and so on, to no old age and death, and also no ending of old age and death, no suffering, cause of suffering, cessation, path, no wisdom, and no attainment, since there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva lives by prajna paramita, with no hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, and therefore no fear, far beyond delusive thinking. Right here is nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future live by prajna paramita, attaining anuttara samyak sambodhi. Therefore know that prajna paramita is the great sacred mantra, the great vivid mantra, the unsurpassed mantra, the supreme mantra, which completely removes all suffering. This is truth, not mere formality. Therefore set forth the prajna paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and proclaim gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhisvaha, gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhisvaha, gate gate para gate parasam gate bodhisvaha. Infinite realms of light and dark convey the Buddha mind. All that is and we ourselves come forth in perfect harmony. We offer this sincere and devoted practice for the many beings of the 6 worlds, and dedicate it in grateful thanks to the strength and sound practice of the great Heartland Sangha and its teachers. May our virtuous actions be clear from all interferences, and may our vows be fully realized. We especially dedicate these merits to Sarah Tenka Kier at the time of her death, Soke, Judy Angelov, and those whose names we hold in the silence of our hearts, as well as those whose names we now voice aloud. May we live in perfect peace with Buddha Dharma, and may we realize the Buddha way together. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, Bodhisattva, Mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, Mahaprajna, Paramita. Please prepare for zazen. Could you please put the liturgy books under your cushion? Please prepare for Kinhin. At the sound of the clappers, first and third rows will turn to your right, second and fourth rows will turn to your left. We will now recite the Sangha Covenant, which is found on page 8 of your stapled liturgy books. We, the Daishin Kokuji Sangha, with respect for the worth and dignity of each person, with wonder at the wisdom and compassion we seek to cultivate by practice, and with deep gratitude for the teachers of this lineage and our connection to one another, covenant to support each other by upholding the precepts of doing no harm, practicing good, and actualizing good for others. Please be seated for this morning's talk, and please face the teachers. Kata on opening the sutra. The Dharma incomparably profound and infinitely subtle is rarely encountered even in millions of ages. Now we see it, hear it, receive and maintain it. May we completely realize the Tathagata's true meaning.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. It's looking pretty full today, which is nice. Thank you. Okay, so a couple of things. I don't have my normal glasses because they're at the shop getting repaired, so I don't know what's going to happen with my eyes as we're talking, but hopefully all will go well. From Shantideva. It is not possible to subdue unruly beings who are as extensive as space, but simply destroying the mind of anger is the same as overcoming all those foes. Where is there enough leather to cover the surface of the earth? But just having leather on the soles of one's feet is the same as covering the whole earth. In the same way, it is not possible to control all external events. But if I simply control my mind, what need is there to control other things? Rebirth as the first form, realm, God, and so on, which results from the mental action of clear concentration, does not come from actions of body or speech, but from actions of mind. So Shantideva is one of our Indian ancestors from, I believe, the 5th century. So he's pretty old, but quite wise. So this is such a big weekend, is it not? I mean, 4th of July, birth of the nation, liberation from the shackles and the tyranny of the British Crown, declaring that this is the land of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is like really big stuff. And here we are, I think, in the adolescence of our democracy, 240 years later, trying to figure out, as a people, how to be free in our nation. How to subdue all the unruly beings that are creating havoc at the moment. So the politicians and the elected officials and the government, for better or worse, bungling and sometimes hitting it right on the head with a perfect expression, are doing the work of politics. And my first impulse was to sort of mix the politics with the Dharma in the moment. And then Roshi was like, no, don't do that. Separation of church and state. We don't want, we don't want that. And I resisted a little. But then I came around, and when I read this, it is not possible to subdue unruly beings who are extensive as space. Just to appreciate, as Dogen said, the way the self arrays itself is the form of the entire world. So the way we are, each of us in our heart minds that can't be known by anybody else, right? Fully and completely, is barely even known to ourselves, right? Is the form of the entire world. So all the crazy, unruly beings are not separate from us. The question is, how do we find our freedom and our liberation in the midst of that? How do we protect our loving, tender, compassionate, wise hearts in the middle of such unruliness? Well, the first thing we notice is that, lo and behold, that unruliness is where? Right between our ears, right in our own minds. We are the unruly beings, right? So the Buddha gave us so many different teachings to be able to govern and transform the unruly beings in our minds and in our hearts. And I thought today I would just look at one teaching and then relate it to this Buddhist project of liberation and happiness, which is so weird because it's the exact same project of America. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I mean, that could be also a declaration of Dharma, right? So I thought we'd just look at this whole business of birth. The actual, what does the Buddha have to say about birth itself, right? And of course, birth for us means we show up as a human being, right? So birth for the nations, it shows up as America. But we're going to really focus more on us than the state of the state. Let the politicians work on that. So just being born human. Most people think, oh, woe is me. Oh my God, my life, my life, my life, right? Actually, most phenomena on the planet are not humans, right? Like, how many more like germs and virus cells are there on the planet than humans, right? How many more fish are swimming around in the ocean than humans, right? To be born human is actually a rare occurrence in the vast array of the form of the entire world. Just that alone, to contemplate that and realize the rarity of the gift of our life as humans, where we have our 10 leisures, and we're going to go over those during the teaching retreat. I won't spend too much time on that. So we also have this capacity to realize our Buddhahood. And as human beings, this is the best land, this is the best country, this is the best coagulation of cells to realize our Buddhahood. But then we've got another bit of a problem here, because just like it's the place of liberation, the place of the pursuit of happiness, it is also the place of suffering. And herein lies the unruly beings of our mind. We have to kind of grow out of our adolescence, really becoming an adult in the Dharma is recognizing that the suffering of our birth, which we'll go into a little bit more, is actually the foundation of our liberation if we are practicing Dharma. If we are not practicing Dharma, then all of the suffering of just being born is the foundation for creating more beings that need to be subdued, right? This is really our freedom. We get to decide, is our suffering going to be the foundation of liberation, or is it going to be the foundation of more messed upness, creating more havoc for ourselves and others? So let's just go into that suffering a little bit more. So it's really important to also know what we're up against so that when we recognize it, we can be like, oh yeah, that's suffering right there. And that's a moment where I can apply Dharma practice. So let's look at the suffering of having a human body. So first of all, it's when we have our body, you know, like the babies, they're so like lovely and kind, and Shokai's, like, you see pictures of her grandson, and he's just this amazing, beautiful bodhisattva Buddha with the face and the cheeks and the clear skin. Just beautiful, right? But just dealing with the slings and arrows of life, that beautiful, loving, responsive, relaxed, clear-eyed mind, what happens? It gets battered, it gets bruised, there's all kinds of just recklessness and ill will and wrongdoing and mistakes that everybody's making. And it's having an effect on the baby. It's having an effect on our minds. And then the more mistakes we come in contact with, the more mistakes we start to take inside, and the more we start to just do one big mistake after another, and we become tormented in our minds. And we become so tormented that we can't get out. We're stuck. Has anybody been there? Yeah. And interestingly enough, you know, when you first come to practice, you think, you know, I'm going to sit a little, I'm going to get my kensho on, and I'm going to be free of that. I am going to be liberated, right? Because the whole body is awash in affliction and negative karma. And just because you've cleared up some karma in your current life doesn't mean you've cleared up all the imprints of karma from your past whatevers. So there's always something coming up, always something coming up. So these, it's called the aggregates, the eye, nose, ear, tongue, body, mind, are the aggregates. They are, it's called appropriated by negative karma and afflictions. So on the basis of the aggregates, the mind that gets twisted and tormented functions. So this beautiful, lovely body, heart comes in, and it just gets like all evil karma ever committed by me since of old, twisted beyond recognition. And not only that, the aggregates themselves, they're completely impermanent and completely flawed. We are born to die. So then the mind and the heart has to deal with that. And then we mistake all the lovely samsaric picnic spots for happiness. And I myself am particularly prone to this, this factor. I am just like, give me a shiny object and I am gone. Give me a nice dress, give me a nice eyeshadow or a blush or a nice shoe or, you know, pictures of a pretty party. I prefer the pictures of the party to actually going to the party as an introvert. But, you know, the function is the same. And I forget. I just go into la la land, right? Turn on the TV. It's so easy to kind of get imbalanced as humans. We're resilient, right? But only within a very narrow bandwidth, incredibly narrow bandwidth. So that goes for physically as well as mentally. And of course, right now, all of the sort of elements, I think, that we're stabilizing for our mental health, like spending time in nature, intact families, even if they were like kind of garden variety dysfunctional. You know what I'm talking about. We've all had them, right? Except for maybe Ryuka. She's... Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, mental health, right? I mean, apparently the mental health crisis is so bad now that, who's the documentarian? Ken Burns has done like a 10-series documentary on mental health crisis in teenagers. So we've got a huge, huge problem. And a lot of that comes from the fact that we are by our aggregates, by the way that we're constructed, we are very fragile. And the teenagers are really getting the brunt of this fragility right now. And also just think about like the internet. I don't think our human brains are even anywhere near being able to catch up with the fire hose that is the information of the internet. And those are adult brains. Imagine child brains. But anyway, the point being that it's all going up in flames, right? It is said, the Buddha said, practice like your hair is on fire. Because our hair is on fire, right? And the tendency is towards negativity. The tendency, the natural tendency, because of the way our aggregates are, because of the way our body is towards pain, negativity, confusion. And of course, those three poisons, they ride on that suffering, and they cause that suffering. Remember those three poisons: greed, anger, and ignorance. So, what is helping? How are we going to get free? How are we free? Not how are we going to get free. How are we free in the midst of that? This is our work. This is what we're practicing. This is what we're doing here. How is it that samsara, this cyclical existence, fueled by greed, anger, and ignorance, using our bodies in all kinds of nasty ways, how is it that that very same experience can be the mud that the lotus of enlightenment blooms? This is our work. This is what we're doing. So 3 ways that these unruly beings that need to be subsumed, what did I call it? Subdued, yeah, thank you. Subdued in our minds. First of all, we have to recognize what we're up against, and I just laid that out, right? That's called the first noble truth. And the antidote to the first noble truth is ethical behavior, renunciation of samsaric delights that are just completely delusional, recognizing what helps, what leads towards a more loving peaceful, kind heart, and what leads to the opposite. That's what these precepts are all about. Hey, look over here. Here are the non-virtues. You do this stuff, you're creating more negative karma. You're creating more afflictions. It's really simple, all laid out. Boom, boom, boom. All we have to do is actually practice. And don't let ourselves off the hook. Actually practice not being angry. When it arises, we notice it. We know that it is the nature of our mind and our hearts to lean towards anger, and we choose something else. We choose compassion. We choose to understand that we ourselves and the person we're so pissed off at are suffering. That is using our suffering as the basis of Dharma practice. So first chunk, and that's why we do the precepts and refuge and Bodhi mind right up front, because that renunciation, that ethical behavior, subduing those crazy, poisonous things in our minds is the foundation. But that alone is not enough. Doing no harm is not enough. We have to cut the root of what is harming. And to do that, we need two things. We need concentration. And why do we need concentration? Because there's so much froth and this grand circus of unruly beings floating around in there. I mean, there's just all the negative karma coming up, all the afflictions coming up, all the ill will coming up, just all the, I want that. I love that bag. I want that bag. I need it right now. Where is it? I think I can get it cheaper on the Real. I mean, it just goes on like that all the time, right? So, but if I just stay at that level of froth, right, you will never see the root of this solidified self that's causing all the mischief. You'll never see the root of the three poisons. And if you don't cut that root, you're not cutting them. It's just as simple as that. So concentration allows us to settle enough in our awareness that this circus of unruly beings of our minds no longer disturbs us, no longer pulls us around, with their light show. And once we settle, then you start to see the roots. You start to see the soil. You start to see, from whence does this arise? And where does it go? Who am I? Who am I? Really? Am I really this frothy anger flipping around here? Is that who I really am? Know that in this way there are myriads of forms and hundreds of grasses throughout the entire earth. And yet each grass and each form itself is the entire earth. We're a long way away from a handbag, concentration, settling down. And of course, as soon as we settle down, what emerges? Trust. Trust. And trust is the enemy of this frothy mind that wants to go out and subdue, fight and get and turn away from, but actually just sitting in our own perfection, just as we are. This is radical. Absolutely radical. This is really getting to the root and turning around the very seat of consciousness that would have us believe that this moment is not perfect. We've got to do something. Concentration. Concentration just very naturally leads to wisdom. Prajna. And prajna is that place of total groundlessness, not being fooled by solidity, not being fooled by greed, not being fooled by hostility and hatred, not being fooled by anger. Allowing the ground that we're sitting on to verify the peace and the perfection and the nirvana of this moment.
Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Beings are numberless. I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible. I vow to end them. Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to enter them. The Buddha way is unsurpassable. I vow to embody it. Are there any announcements?
Just maybe a quick instruction for the new folks. We do have some food set up out there. Feel free to help yourself. There's coffee and tea as well. And when you're finished, please step into the kitchen. There's a garbage can next to the sink. You can scrape, you can rinse into a colander, and then just place your plate, bowl, whatever, into the plastic trays to the side, and they'll be run through the dishwasher. That's it. Thank you.
Just a few things. First, a really warm welcome to our visitors today. Thank you for practicing with us. It was wonderful to have you here. And you're welcome to stay and hang with us for food. We'll be around to take questions and things like that. And do fill out a visitor form if you want to get onto our mailing list. I want to highlight 2 upcoming major events that are happening in July. One of them is the Teachings Retreat, which will cover the stages of the Mahayana path in the form of a deep dive through the liturgy that we did today, the daily liturgy, where you can deepen your understanding and thus deepen your practice with that daily liturgy. That is Tuesday, July 19th through Saturday, July 23rd. And there is a sign-up sheet, and we'd love it if you would RSVP. That's for members. If you're not a member and you're interested in that, it might be time to consider becoming a member. Also, at the end of the month, on the last Sunday of July, our Sunday service will be in the form of the ordination for Secho. So, hope everyone will come. That is a potluck Sunday, so we want a really big potluck that day. So come, bring food and drink, and celebrate together with us.
So on the Saturday of the 23rd, if you got nothing going on and you're here for the teachings retreat anyways, you might want to consider staying or coming back in the evening, because we are going to resurrect a pre-COVID tradition, is we're going to have an arts night. And if you've never been to one of these before, we just bring, snacks and share food, and we encourage people to share artistic expression. People can read poetry. Original is wonderful, but something that you love, even if someone else wrote it. There's dramatic readings from novels. People have performed music. They've written original songs. And there'll be more information coming in the next couple of days through Facebook and email, so that we can get a sense of who wants to step up and perform. And I will throw my hat in the ring for the first time. Those of you who have been in the right place at the right time have seen or heard the hip-hop version of the Heart Sutra. And I will be performing it live for my contribution.
And we also encourage visual art pieces.
Oh yeah, visual art.
And we'll have them on display that evening.
If you paint or fold things or draw or whatever. So thank you all. Were there any other announcements? Then let's please restore the Zendo and enjoy some food and fellowship.